I guess I should have some background volume in the back here. What is up, everybody? This is Anthony with VR 365. What is going on? It is Monday. It's July 15th. It's quite late. In the East Coast, I believe it is 10 p.m. right about now. It is 7 p.m. out here on the West Coast. And I am joined by Schmitty of Rendered Reality. Tyler, of course. What is going on, man? How you doing?
Good. What's up, Anthony? What's up, everybody? Yeah, I'm good. It's late here. I just got done telling Anthony too that I had a huge issue with all my lighting because we always do a morning show. So for us, a nighttime, it's super dark in here. I was way off course for lighting, so I just got it dialed in barely enough to get on. So
Yeah, no, you look like you're in a fine dining Italian restaurant, where they keep the
sure,
lights
yeah,
down low a
yep,
little bit with
I
the
get that.
candles going and stuff.
I
No,
was
it
going
look
for the men's cigar in my office, men's cigar room. That's what I was
yeah,
going for.
you look like you're in a studio actually. I mean, like a real studio, just from this
Honestly,
background that it looks
it's
like.
probably turned into that, as has yours too. I know from watching your show.
Yeah, well, this room, the one beautiful thing about this room, see, I was a home theater guy a while back, and I had like a big screen over here, and I had a projector that was up here and all that, and I just I don't care about it anymore, so I got rid of the projector and the screen. I guess I should paint over that or something. But the thing that I did with this room when I first made it is like I went kind of crazy with it, and luckily I had my father-in-law. Oh my god, see, he was in construction. He's like retired and stuff, but he had tons of time on his hand, and he wanted to like help me do this project and
Oh
stuff,
man.
so he helped me out with it, and that was incredible. And then I had all these people on the AVS forums. They have a specific little forum area for people that want to build their own little theater. And this
Oh
was
man.
a a 3-car garage technically. It
Jeez.
was a 3-car garage, and my wife at one point was like, "Go ahead, if you want to make a man cave in there, if you want to seal it up, go ahead." And she gave me the green light, and
Oh
we
man.
built a wall over here that like the wall that I'm pointing at this way is my that's where the garage doors are, and they're there on the outside. Like if you're
Oh,
driving
blocked
by,
off.
it
Sure.
looks like a
Yep.
normal garage,
That's
but we
awesome.
we made like a 28-foot wall that spans the entire, because otherwise the sound was wrong. So to get the sound right,
That's
and then I
incredible.
did acoustic stuff. Like these walls it's like a fabric actually, and underneath the
Huh.
fabric is this acoustics that's going up to that midline there.
Sure.
And so like if you come into this room, like if you clap,
It's dead.
yeah, there's no
That's
echo.
awesome.
It's
Huh.
almost a little too dead, but it's good for like podcasts and stuff like
We've
that.
actually been talking about that with Sean. Sean actually just bought a new house and he's now creating, excuse me, his new VR room. So I should have him talk to you about all the acoustics and stuff because, he's wondering about sound panels and where to place stuff. And I was trying to explain to him how the sound bounces and every corner, is another place for it to bounce and stuff. And
Have you
but yeah, you
ever
would know way more than me.
Yeah, well, there's this one guy. God, what was his Tribal Instincts? Did you ever watch the YouTube channel Tribal Instincts?
I don't think so.
Because
No.
he was really active in the early days of VR, and he had this thing he called Project Immersion, which I thought was funny. And Rudel Zavedno says 3-car garage. Anthony lives in a mansion. No, I don't. I don't. I know that like 3-car garage. It's not 3 freaking limos. It's like 3 Yugos. Okay, it's like a little tiny 3-car garage. But yeah, I know it sounds like I'm living lavish, but nah, I'm very not. I wish. I wish I was.
Now all the cars have to sit outside. See, that would be my problem. I couldn't do that. That would kill me.
Yeah, I know. That does suck. That really does suck. And my wife is sometimes she gives me, especially in the wintertime when it's like raining and shit. She's like, God, why did I let you do that? And she's like running
Better
out into the
better than
rain.
here though, because we get like a foot of snow overnight. That one, you don't want to have to go out and clean your wife's car out after that. That's no fun.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. But this guy Tribal Instincts, he had this thing called Project Immersion,
Hmm.
and which was basically immersion, but he was just shortening it to
Sure.
Project Immersion. And he had gotten a brand new house, and it had a really big like playroom, great room, like a fun room, like almost like an arcade room that was like in part of the house. And he did it like 100% green screen the whole entire thing, like all this crazy shit. But he has videos on it, and it was all about VR. He might want to check some other. But
Jeez, yeah.
this guy
That's
went
crazy.
nuts with it, and I don't think he's doing YouTube anymore, which is kind of crazy.
Really? Huh.
Yeah. Frank
Yeah.
Zappa says that room looks amazing, Anthony. See, the thing is, you guys are seeing the one part of the room that is not jacked up, and so it's just all smoke and mirrors.
I know it's hard.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's get into some topics really quick. And so, obviously, I mean, one of the main reasons I wanted to have you on is to talk to you about the Valve Index, the Oculus Quest, and also the Rift S. Did you get all three of those things?
Oh,
Recently?
man, all right. So,
Well, wait.
I'm
Don't
gonna,
go into it. Don't go into it. But did you touch all of those three or no?
absolutely. Oh, yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I've had them all. Yep.
Okay.
So
You've collected them all.
yeah, exactly. That's the problem with VR, especially right now because everything's coming out literally at once, which is good. It's good, but it's super saturated right now. For me, I guess I initially wanted to buy the Rift S. I thought, okay, I want the Rift S. That's the one headset I want, out of all of it. Then, Valve does their thing, right before.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, now I don't know what I want. And then I'm like, you know what? Maybe the Quest is the way to go, just because I've always wanted an untethered headset, essentially. And I know that that's the wave of the future, and it's going to be there, I'm sure, at some point. And I felt like it was the first one in. It's going to get a lot of traffic because of that. So I jumped on with the Quest. So I was getting the Quest and the Rift S. After having then the Quest and the Rift S, I did pre-order the Index as well, and I got in on the second wave. And I actually bought my Index off Steve from Conquer Reality, the one that you were going to get. So I ended up getting.
So
it off
you
him.
got a box of rocks, right? No.
Exactly. They were really polished rocks, though. Okay. He did a nice job with that. No,
That's
it's fully functioning. He did decide to give me the one, though, that had the joysticks that don't click when you go forward. No, I'm kidding. I think that's all of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, everything's been great, and I actually love the Index.
Okay.
It's definitely my daily driver. I actually play everything through Revive, through the Index. And kind of a nice little workaround we talked about on our show yesterday, that I found a lot of games don't actually support the Index controllers even on Steam. So I was having issues in like Rec Room and like just with simple little controls. And I decided to run it through Revive through Oculus, worked perfectly. No problem. So it was a nice little workaround for me, but I've found that I play everything on it now. I've done some race sims that look great and dark. Like Lo-Fi itself, a really dark game, still looked really good. I know a lot of people don't like the glare on it, but I don't see a huge issue with it. I really don't. So I don't know. It may not, maybe I just don't. I think I'm more of an immersion type of person. I don't nitpick every little thing. I don't look for things. And if I don't notice it and doesn't stand out and bother me, then it's not a big deal to me, I guess.
Well, you know what I've noticed? Like, so right before since we're going to just go in, let's just go into the Valve Index topic. Let's just go into it, right? So,
it's hard not to.
Yeah, right before we did this show, well, like an hour or so ago, I thought I had downloaded the lab. See, I hadn't played the lab since 2016 or whatever. Yeah, I mean, maybe I checked into it, a couple years later or whatever, but it's been a while. And I haven't checked into the lab. And somebody was like, Anthony, dude, you got to play the lab because that is Valve. I mean, they had the Index on and made sure that, I mean, they were probably tuning it towards the lab in a way. And so, like, you got to see the lab, right? And so
hopefully they were tuning it to Portal. I just want to add that. Yeah. They're working on that, hopefully.
But I went into the lab and checked it out like just a little while ago. And it, you know what it is, man? The more I use the Valve Index, the more I've come to realize that it's a great headset. It is a great headset. The glare is the Achilles heel. It is.
Sure it is.
But like you said, you can play certain games and you don't even see the glare, know? And so if like somebody conceivably could get a Valve Index, they could play like 8 or 9 games in a row where you don't see any glare at all. And what you do see is clarity. The Valve
Yep.
Index is straight up clarity,
It
you
is.
know?
Yep. I talked about it on our show too, that so for me, I thought there was something wrong with my headset. The first game I went into was Contractors, right? And that's our go-to. We played in our free time. So we go in and I have the headset on and I started to see trees in the distance, buildings loading in at different LODs that I never saw before with the CV1. And at first I thought, okay, maybe, the refresh rate, I'm running it too high. I'm running at 120. Maybe it doesn't like that. But just announced to me, it was only because of the clarity. I'm seeing farther and I'm seeing stuff load in. And to me, that was the selling point. When I'm seeing stuff at farther distances, right there, just the clarity is amazing. Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, it's one of the things it reminds me of. So I used to be like a hardcore retro gamer guy.
Sure.
And in the retro gaming world, one of the things that some retro gamers get into is they have these things called RGB monitors. They're like these old analog RGB monitors that like used to be in arcade
Yep.
cabinets and
Sure.
stuff. And you could get these Sony ones that were RGB. And so people be like, oh, if you get these special RGB cables and, you hook up your Super Nintendo, da 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 da, right? But the thing is, when you use that type of stuff and you have it in RGB, it looks gorgeous, but you also see every little imperfection because
Sure.
you're seeing more. You're just seeing details. And
Sure.
so you're actually seeing some of the imperfections. And one of the things I have noticed, and I noticed it when I was just playing the lab today, I can see screen door. I can really see screen door. Like I confirmed, I played Longbow in the lab. I played Zortex 26XX in the lab. And then I was also in like the postcards where you're just looking at photogrammetry. I see screen door. But the reason I see screen door is just because the clarity reveals all, I think, is
Sure
what
it
it
does.
is.
Yeah. I actually haven't noticed screen door really. I mean, I guess I haven't gone in and stared at something trying to look for it. I'm kind of past that, I mean, if you're in VR, it's going to be there unless you're buying a super high res, screen, but I don't know. I don't look for it anymore. For me, I'm just more about the experience anymore. So like with the Index, the sound is incredible. I mean,
Yeah,
makes everything.
ridiculous.
I mean, I can almost forget about playing. I'm hearing other things that I never heard, and I mean, it's all of
Dude,
it
the
combined
lab,
for me.
the sound in the
Oh
lab,
yeah.
because see, that's the thing. It's a Valve produced
Yep.
thing, so
Sure.
it
Sure.
is mixed perfect.
You probably
Oh
hear all those
man,
machines like hydraulics running and
exactly.
everything. I
And they
bet. Oh
sound
man,
like
yeah, I need
it
to try that.
sounds like it sounds like it's far away. Like it really
Yep.
sounds right.
That would be
Um,
cool.
yeah, no, try the lab, dude,
I
because
will.
everything is just super clean. Like Zortex 26XX, it looked gorgeous, looked
Hmm.
absolutely gorgeous. Longbow looked great. I mean, sharper and cleaner than you've ever seen it before.
Interesting.
And so
Huh.
it's a good kind of a comparison to catch up with that because we're waiting for a legit Valve thing. So
Sure.
so in regards to your Index experience, because I mean you did cough up a good chunk of change to get the thing, right? I did as
Right.
well. I paid
Right.
about
Absolutely.
$1,100 or whatever,
Yep.
and it's a pretty chunky investment. Was any part of you like, because some people are returning them, some people
I
are,
know.
or they're returning their controllers, or all these different things. What do you think about all that?
So I've always been, and not just in VR, I've always been on the like I don't want to call it forefront of technology. I'm always buying like the prosumer probably products, and with that comes trial and error. I mean, you're not getting perfection with everything when you buy into that. And I guess for me, it's understood, So if I'm buying something that has a frunk on it that's for future anything, and they're releasing their CAD files and STL files of it for people to make things for it, I'm all in on something like that, especially something that's open source. Not It's not open source, but a little bit, in that term. I like that, and I want to be a part of that. So for me, that holds a value in itself. And I understand buying something, new and newer technology like that. You're paying for the R&D. You're not paying for just what's in the headset. People don't understand that. You're paying for all the time that it's take to make that, and then from there on out, the price drops, and that's why. But I mean, I don't regret any of it at all. I love it. It's a great headset. but I love like where the Rift S and the Quest is too at their price point, and I recommend them all the time. I think, and I'm sure he's probably in your show too, but like VR Mang, he was on the fence. Should I just get an Index, or would I just get a Quest and a Rift S? And he said, if you had to make a decision right now, no thinking about it, would you buy just the Index, a Quest, and a Rift S, and have $200 to spend on games? And I said, truthfully, I mean, if you just are a VR enthusiast, and you're not trying to buy top tier stuff, absolutely, I would go for the Quest without a doubt. And that's not a hard recommendation for me, because they do run great. The screen on the Rift S is amazing. I don't like the headphone situation with it. But past that, I mean, it's a great headset. And now that they fixed their tracking and everything, it's even better yet. So, yeah, it's hard for me to say one's better.
The audio with the Valve Index, like, I hope I hope I hope Sony knows. I hope Oculus knows. Like, please, sure. Like if I go to Oculus Connect 6 and I'm walking along and I see somebody from Oculus that I recognize, I'm going to be like, please copy those headphones. Please, right? For the love of, I mean, everybody's got to copy those headphones, right? But will they? Will they?
I know, it's hard. My wife hates the old headsets with, like CV1 with the headphones on your ear. She hated it because she said she felt trapped all the time. Like she just had all this stuff on her head.
You also get hot. It's hot.
You do. Absolutely, yeah. You do. So it just takes all that away, and just leads to more immersion, inside the game and not realizing where you're at. And I don't get, I think you talked about it too, and so did we, but everyone was kind of worried about sound bleed through. Do you notice any? Like with outside sounds coming through? I don't really.
No, not really. And it's weird because like I'll forget, like I'm playing these games and I forget that I don't have my Sennheisers on my head. Like sure. I really forget that. And that's pretty impressive to me. Or the Oculus headphones that are pretty good.
Sure. Yeah, they are good. I do like the Oculus ones. The one people haven't really talked about though, the microphone. The input audio on the microphone is actually really good.
It's crazy good.
It is. It's like the clarity compared from Oculus to
it's like
to
as
Valve.
good as my Snowball
impressive.
Practically. I could have it right here and do a show with it. Yep. Yeah, it's great. What about the controllers though? Because like my biggest bugaboos with the Valve Index is it's the glare, but actually the glare seems to be fading away for me a little bit because it's like it seems like I'm only noticing on some very specific things, sure. And for the most part it's fine, so I'm good there. But the controller thing that does bother me, and you kind of explained this just a second ago, but it's like I go into this game, I go into that game, and everything works but one button that switches sure. my sword into my crossbow, and I'm like, damn, I can't do this, I'm bumbling,
Yep. It's hard, and I don't really want to go through and do all the bindings and all that stuff. I'm kind of on the side of I'll just wait for a developer to adopt it. But yeah, I mean, I haven't noticed a ton of issues with it. But honestly, the Revive fix. So if you have something on Oculus, or you buy it on Oculus, or it's free on Oculus, it's well worth the download on there because Revive honestly fixed every single one of them for me without any issue.
Wow.
So that really helped. So, which I wouldn't think. Why wouldn't I don't know. I don't get. I would think natively that and it's sitting in front of me. That's what I'm looking at. The Index controllers would just mimic the Vive ones, or be translated that way, and it would actually work. But just as Revive is doing through Oculus. But for some reason, I don't know. Their bindings are just out of whack. And I know the buttons are all different compared to the wands and everything, which you have touch pads, and so I get all that. But
they really should have. They really should have had one person that was spending like 2 weeks going through like the 100, and they know what the most popular VR games are, and yes, so they know what their statistics. They should go through like the most like games that are having active players on a regular basis and be like, well, why don't we dial these 50 games in and bake in a special little thing that just automatically senses the Valve Index controllers, it automatically activates it, and then those games are good to go.
And it's hard. Because like the first people getting Index are the people who are the most passionate, and probably people like you or I, or hardcore VR people who are in the community. So you would think you would want those first people to get their hands on it to have the best experience with that initially, wouldn't you? I mean, from a marketing standpoint, I would think so. So I don't know why they didn't have that polished and ready to go right out of the box like that. But I mean, yeah,
What do you
that's
think about like clickgate and all of that? Like that hasn't affected me at all yet. I haven't experienced a game where that has come up, and I know that like for me it's like a total non-story, but I can imagine if there was a crucial game that I played all the time where that was a major issue, it would bother the living crap out of me. So,
so on Contractors, the first game I played, I had the issue right away because I would always go forward movement and you click down to run, and it wasn't there when I went forward. It drove me crazy at first. I'm like, oh man, like this could be a deal breaker for me. Within 5-10 minutes, I just changed it to where I clicked it down initially before I got to full forward, and no problem since. So I don't know. I don't really. It doesn't drive me crazy. Do I think they should address it? Yes, I do. I think they should address it, and I think they
but
should at least
how?
make a
How do they
statement.
address
But
it?
yeah, that's a great question.
Because the problem is, if they actually admit to something, then it opens up an like the problem.
I
I mean,
know.
it's just an unfortunate thing because it would completely ruin their launch.
Sure,
Like,
sure it would. I don't. Yeah, it's a hard one. I mean, I'm the kind of person who will just tear mine apart and probably fix it, but I don't know. That's a hard thing to do, you know. When you pay that much for something, it should be right, you would think, but I
yeah.
don't know. Yeah, we'll see.
So
If it
what
drives
if?
me crazy, I'll fix it.
Yeah. Well, what games like so you've been using Revive a little bit. Have you played Defector? Did you end up getting that, or
Yeah.
is there
Yep.
anything you've
Played
been?
Effector.
Okay. What do you think of that so far? Have you? How much have you played of it?
I played, I want to say the first maybe 45 minutes of it. Um, I liked it a lot. My only issue with it was the movement inside of it, and I guess I could say this was the only game I had an issue with using Revive as well. But it could be part of the game, so I don't know. I haven't tried it with any Oculus products yet, so I don't know. But when you make a movement, so let's say you're facing forward, let your forward position in VR, and you make a turn to the left and use your stick to rotate with smooth turning, you rotate, but it actually doesn't rotate your character. It only rotates your head. So then when you push forward to go forward, you're actually going sideways or backwards. It's really a
Yeah, yeah.
weird thing and kind of trippy at first. So I realized I just had to stay standing perfectly straight the whole time. And it worked then. But it was weird because I like to turn in my room. I don't like to use any type of turning movement or anything. That was a little off to me. I don't know if that's part of the game. I didn't see anything in the settings. I'm not sure. I haven't been back in. But yeah, I mean, it plays really well. I like what they're doing with like the weapons and the interactions. The
It looks.
talking. I like that.
You played it on Valve Index,
I did.
and
Yes.
it looks good, huh?
It looks great. It
Yeah.
looks great. And I mean, it's
The
kind of funny,
colors, like I'm
playing in there.
surprised the colors are
Sure.
vibrant sometimes on
They
Valve
are. Have you
Index.
played it on the Index?
Yeah, yeah, that's where I played it. Though
Okay. Did
it's
you have any
weird
issues
though.
with controls? I'm curious.
Um, I don't think. I mean, I might have like I tried to do snap turning, and I don't think it did it. And so then I was just like, I think I was just
Sure.
like physically turning my body all the way, and I can't remember there being a major problem with that. See, I got to one part. Basically got stuck in it, and I was trying to do things with I have the Valve Index controllers, right, and I'm trying to like open up this briefcase, and I'm
Oh
doing
yeah.
everything imaginable, and the briefcase is not opening, so I don't know. I need to go, and
Oh, I
I
think
that's the
it's
only
the
time I ever
briefcase. Is
played
that
it.
where you're in the second plane? Is that where you're?
It's the first plane, just this part with this guy right here, but I haven't jumped out of the plane yet. So
Oh, I
like
won't
barely
ruin it.
started.
Sure.
Barely
Oh
started.
yeah, that was a little confusing. You're right. You have to go into the briefcase, hit something, and then time ran out. I sat back down, and
But
then yeah, I
the
kept going.
briefcase would not open for me, and I didn't know if
Huh.
this was like, oh, it's just a Valve Index thing, and I need to
Yep.
play this in my Rift or something. But yeah,
Sure.
I haven't actually hooked up my since getting my Valve Index. My
I
Rift
know.
has just been over there collect
I'm right
because
there with you.
well, you know what it is? It's like I've got 4 USB sensors. And when I first got my index, I had a problem for like half of a day where the index was, and I didn't realize that it was
Sure.
simply a matter of you got to check almost every little USB slot to find the magical USB slot that it likes the most.
Hmm.
And so it wasn't work. I was almost going into a panic like, no, am I going to have to send this thing back? How nightmarish would that be?
I must have got lucky then with where I plugged mine in. Mine worked right out of the box. The only issue I had when it was updating, I think the controllers. it must have wanted them in an order, and I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Like one after the other. And I was putting the second one in first, plugging it in to update it. And then I realized if you hit the name of where it says index controller, it identifies it and vibrates the right controller that you're supposed to plug in, which was pretty cool. So I swapped them, plugged it in, they updated, no problem. But that was my only hiccup. But past that, it was super easy. And I didn't have any base stations before either because I didn't have anything that needed it. So for me, it was all new. So that was pretty cool, and setting them up so they go to sleep and everything. There's a lot of cool little things, but yeah, it
When
works good.
you first set up your Valve Index, did you remove all the USB sensors for your Rift, or you just left everything in your computer and didn't touch any? You just
Nope.
added the stuff in.
Yep.
Okay.
Just left it.
See,
Yeah,
I
actually, I
didn't
have
know
them
if.
both hooked up at the same time, even.
Oh, okay. I
Yep.
didn't know if maybe I was like overloading my USB or something, and so I actually unplugged a few of the sensors to see if
I
that
actually
did it.
wondered if the graphics card wouldn't handle it because I'm using two display ports and an HDMI port. So I was worried that it wouldn't recognize which one and, turn one off maybe if one was plugged in, but it's all worked. It's been great. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, the
pretty cool.
only other weird thing I notice about the Index, like on the controllers, I don't know if you've noticed this at all, but I'll be in like different games and things where my controller kind of starts rumbling a little bit, and I don't think it's supposed to be rumbling. And it's like the batteries, it's almost like the batteries of the controller is
Sure.
dying out a little bit early, and it's I don't know, I've had some weird like do I just need to charge the
So
controller or what?
speaking of batteries on those controllers, I absolutely love this. When you pause and you pull up Steam VR and you look down at the controllers, it shows the four little battery indicator lights. I love that.
Oh.
It's the little things like that that I just love. Like you can literally look down on the controller and see where the battery's at on it. That's great to me.
Oh,
I
cool.
wish
I
I
didn't
wish
notice
Touch would
that.
have done that. It's really I forget where it's at. I think you kind of have to like flip it up or over or down or something like that, but they're there. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Sweet, sweet. Okay, let me go ahead and throw on a different trailer real quick. And then I just wanted to bring up a couple quick little things I needed to mention. So I just wanted to mention to everybody that our viewers and stuff of the show, I do have some good news because the other day I was asking if anybody out there had a copy of the second Twitch episode I did. It was an interview with Simplex, and I accidentally lost that episode. And the good news is, one person did actually have it, and so I got it now. So it will be coming to YouTube. What I'm going to do with some of these old Twitch episodes is I want to just run through them real quick and maybe eliminate like some little areas where I'm fumbling for stuff and like edit it just a little bit, and then I'm going to throw them up on YouTube slowly but surely. So good news, I did find that episode. The other thing I wanted to mention, let's actually go, let me get in the right spot here. Okay, so yeah, let's go to the webinar for the first time. And so I did this topic on the Vive subreddit like yesterday, I think. And so I was working on VRGameRankings.com, and I was working on the HTC Vive, like one of like the most wanted charts or whatever for the HTC Vive most wanted games, and I didn't want to put Oculus exclusive games in that list because they kind of belong on the Oculus list. And so I mentioned, like, as I was looking up stuff, I think I discovered that Solaris Off-World Combat is actually like kind of an Oculus exclusive, maybe for a temporary period of time. But in this thread, I happened to mention that it's probably an exclusive similar to Phantom Covert Ops and Lo-Fi. And then the developer of Lo-Fi jumped into the thread, and he's like, "Nah, man, it is not an exclusive game." And so here he is right here, Anti-Cleric. He says, "Lo-Fi is not an exclusive game. Works on all platforms unless someone approaches me with a ton of cash. It will release on them all at the same time." And so, yeah, so I made a mistake there. My apologies. The reason I assumed it, like you got an opportunity to play that, right? Early?
We did. Oh yeah. Yep. Very early. Yeah. It was not even a game at the time. It
Yeah.
wasn't even anything interactive, I don't think.
But the reason I thought it might be like an Oculus thing is because you had to like give him your Oculus account, right? And it's like when a developer has like preview code that is running on the Oculus store, you give them your Oculus account email.
Yep.
They add you to a list, and then when you go into the Oculus store, you can find something, and it's like it's been unlocked for you to possibly download. Like if you're in the press or whatever, to get a preview build. And so like that game Fugle, where you're flying as a bird, and it's not really a game, it's more just kind of a chill out experience. But like that thing, you had to, like, you were playing it on Oculus, and the guy told me, he's like, it's going to start out as an Oculus exclusive, not because we got a money deal, but it's just going to be on Oculus for a while, and then it'll eventually come to Steam later. And I just kind of assumed that that would be the same thing with Lo-Fi. Because wasn't Technolust only on, like, Oculus Rift for a while at the beginning, I thought?
I think so. I think for a while it was, yeah. But that was a long time ago now. But yeah, you're right. I think it was.
Yeah, so I made a mistake on that. My fault. But
the guy's a really good guy, though. He's a really good guy running that game. He's really putting a lot of work into it.
Yeah. I hate that I stuck my foot in my mouth with that one, but oh well, it happens.
That's all right. He threw it out there. I mean, that's awesome. I mean, that's good.
Okay, well, let's go to another quick story here. Let's see. Upload VR. So one of the biggest stories that kind of blew me away. So there's this story here about Palmer Luckey, where basically it's saying that Oculus Rift and Gear VR have sold well over 10 million units combined. And in this story, I'm not really worried about that, but in this story, I believe they mention in this story that on some other, here it is. CNBC, meanwhile, cited estimated sales data from analytics market research group Superdata.
That's what it was. Yeah.
And saying Oculus Go had sold 2 million units. Quest had sold 1.1 million units. And Rift had sold 547,000 units since the start of 2018. Okay, wait. Stop the presses. Oculus Quest sold 1.1 million units. No effing way. I would love this to be true. I would love that to be true. What do you think about that?
I think, I don't know where they're getting these analytics from. I actually looked up the company who did this, and they don't post anything. They don't say anything. You actually have to inquire or buy into their research. So I don't know how much I believe any of that. There's no way. There's no way they've sold that many. It can't be. I mean, I get there's been a lot, and the Quest are sold out, and you can't get one, but that's a marketing ploy in itself. So to say that they've sold over 1 million, there's no way.
Yeah,
now, the only thing I thought that might go into that is when they sold I think it was the Note 7 or Note 8. They gave out free VR headsets, and those were considered Gear VR headsets. So if there were a ton, of batches of those go out, they're probably counting them. Now, nobody probably ever used them because they didn't really care about VR, but they got a free headset and they thought it was cool, tried it once and put it away.
Oh yeah, the 10 million number, like I can't even think about that 10 million number, because
I could think when you million, add maybe.
Well, when you add the Gear VR into it, it throws it all out. Like it
exactly.
It kind of ruins the whole thing. Like, because Gear VR. I mean, it's like people were getting Gear VR things for free for a long time and stuff. Yeah. Okay, so this is on the Oculus Quest subreddit, and one guy had the title, Oculus has sold 1.1 million Quests, and then a bunch of people jumped in and basically, junior detectives, right? So they were running, because Oculus came out and said that they sold $50 million worth of software or whatever in like 2 weeks. And, so people were doing all these estimations. They were assuming that the average Oculus Quest owner would spend $50, which meant that basically 100,000 Oculus Quests sold in that time frame. Basically, they're doing all this stuff. But anyway, a lot of people are saying it's much closer to 200,000 Quests than it would be 1.1 million. That is crazy, though. That is a crazy
And you got to think they sold out everywhere almost instantly. So there's no way there were that many units in stores to sell out, that fast. I mean, I know they sold some in between, but not many, compared to then. So there's no way. I mean,
they're doing good, though.
What each Best Buy? Oh, sure, they're doing great. I mean, if they're selling out and they're up on the charts, they are. But that's a lot of units. That's like, I mean, I don't even know what that would be. One in every 20 households or something. Or if they
Yeah.
sold that many, but I know they're counting, the big numbers are counting all the Gear VR stuff, but
This one guy
I don't
right
know.
here, he says this might be a bit high, but perhaps not too far. Now, I think it's way far. But he lists a couple of points. It keeps getting sold out. The number of subs to the Oculus Quest subreddit compared to Oculus Go after the same amount of time. And then the interest on Google Trends for Oculus Quest, Oculus Go, like the stats, like there enough optimism for Facebook to consider buying actual game studios. Like you remember we heard about that. It was part of another story. It was part of the Assassin's Creed thing. You know, we heard about
Sure.
Assassin's Creed and Splinter Cell, and
Splinter Cell.
and
Yep.
the person that basically had that rumor said that Facebook is looking to outright buy studios. And
Sure.
if that's the case, it's possible that they're like, oh my God, Quest is going gangbusters. All
Yep.
lights are green. Let's go. Let's buy a few studios while we're at it. You
You'd think
know?
they'd want to. I mean, if they were smart, they would, but I don't know where their business, wants to head with all that. They probably have different ideas than what we would hope or think, but yeah, it's I don't know. It's hard. It's hard for me to I feel like, Facebook in itself is unsure of what they even want to do, I think, but I mean, they might.
Well, we're
Yeah,
going to see, in September, right? We're going to see. That's
sure.
going to be
Yep.
very interesting. You know, the Oculus
Yep.
Connect 6 is going to be very interesting to see all the different things they show there. Now,
I know.
you bought a Quest, right? Did you get a Quest right around when it came out?
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
Got a Quest the day it came out. Yep.
Okay, so what has that experience been like for you? What do you think about the Quest? Like, how would you wrap that up? Do you still
So
use it, or is it kind of like collecting dust?
I still use it, obviously not as much as my index, because if I'm doing VR, I'm in my office typically. But the biggest eye opener for me actually was my go back. My wife hated VR. She said it made her hot. It made her, she didn't like because she saw a screen door and all
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Um, she actually uses the Quest all the time. She uses Box VR on it all the time, and that for me was an eye opener to see because she would never touch it. Put it on a minute or two later, she'd like, oh, it's making me sick. I don't want it on. A CV1 even. So with this, she actually asks for it or does it herself. Goes in and grabs it, and I tell her the only thing I care about. Don't let the lenses towards the sunlight.
Yeah.
Other than that, do whatever you want with it. I really don't care. And she's having a blast with it. And that to me is the biggest. Now I play it all the time too. I play like, showing in this video, I play Super Hot now again. I haven't played Super Hot in forever, but in that with no wires, it's incredible. It's a new experience for me. And I love it. I love to see how fast I can play through it. It's all new to me, which it's cool. I like it. I like the pass through cameras. There's a lot of things that I really, really like about it, and
Oh, dude, the
it's a great
pass-through
vibe.
cameras, like when you first put it on, like the
Sure.
second you put it on, you immediately see your room. You can see your controllers and grab them. I mean, that's the way it should be done. Like
Yep.
they did a few things with this headset that is kind of like from here on out, this is kind of the way all
Sure.
future headsets should be in certain ways. What
Yeah.
about the comfort issue though? Because like I still have never, but the good news is I rarely would want to play it for more than 40 minutes anyway at a time, so it's fine, but it is kind of a thing for me where about 35 minutes in, it starts to wear on me.
So I had the initial VR cover, the one that was the Bad Batch, the one that they had the bad files from Oculus and everything. And I never had an issue with them. They clicked into the top, they somewhat clicked into the bottom, but they stayed in, never had a problem. So for me, that was great comfort. I don't know if, my face, the pressure
That's
points
just
are all
your face,
different,
right? It's just your
Right.
face? Okay.
Yep, exactly. So I don't know if like where the whole headset fits and rest is comfortable for me. Everyone's face is different. So if it
Yeah,
hits
yeah.
you a little different, it's going to be uncomfortable. Now, I get there is a lot more weight in the front and it is a little different, but like, my wife doesn't know any different. She doesn't play VR. She doesn't try any other headsets, so she doesn't care. And
Yeah.
for me, I don't think about it. I don't know. If it doesn't bother me, I forget about it.
When
So
you
that's my
play
only thing.
when you play your Quest, do you use headphones or do you just kind of go with the built-in audio? Or does it
I
depend
like to use
sometimes?
headphones. I do like to use headphones. I do have the Bionic Manus headphones. And those seem to, I can kind of clip them on a little bit. But actually, I use over the ear on those
Okay.
usually. If I'm just picking it up real quick, I don't. But if I'm going to do like a, excuse me, a playthrough of like super hot, then yeah, I'll put headphones on for sure.
So for me, one of the things I noticed now, I mean, getting the Valve Index, like one of the things we have to consider when you get a brand new Valve Index, that is a major big toy. It's a huge thing. It's a new headset that is more FOV, more resolution. You know, it's got
Sure,
like I didn't even get a Rift S, so for me, it's like the real big thing because I didn't even get a Rift S. And
sure,
so that came in, it's a brand new toy. So obviously, old toys kind of get kicked to the curb a little bit. It's
right,
kind of normal. But prior to that, I was using my Quest all the time because I would come in here. Now, part of it was we didn't have a big PC game that's out right now. You know,
sure,
Free
right,
Diver was probably like the last big game or whatever. And so I'll come into this room and I'd look at my Rift and I'd look at PlayStation VR and I'd look at the Quest. And it's just for me, it's like I know I could just grab the Quest and within
yep,
it, boom, I'm in a game. There's not a lot of little things that are going wrong with it. And graphics are watered down. But part of it too, though, is I got so many little games to go into, mostly because of VR Roundtable and cross buy
sure,
and stuff. But yeah, man, I really fell in love with the Quest. I still like
yeah.
it and I'll still use it, but
I'd never really had a lot of comfort like problems with it. I really didn't notice it. I don't know why. I know a lot of people don't like it. Sean didn't like it. Sean actually, and he just said something in chat about it too, which sadly he's in here, but he did the Frankenquest,
oh
which is
yeah,
really that's a killer setup.
yeah, that is
He
cool.
picked it up real cheap. I mean, it's definitely the way to go. If you don't like the
Chris
comfort
did
on it,
that.
it's
Chris
awesome.
of VR Roundtable, he
Yep.
did that
Does he
too.
like it?
Yeah. Oh, he said it's
Oh
great.
yeah,
It's great.
it is. It's really cool.
I should probably do that. I wonder.
I would
See,
if I were you. Yep.
I kept thinking like there's going to be some company that will make like a very official Frankenquest, you know,
Sure.
that might work a little
Honestly
better.
though,
But
like we printed off the brackets for it though. We printed the brackets so it looks stock.
oh,
You can't even tell. I mean, printed them off in black, matches and everything. Really, really the ticket. It definitely is. If you get it, let me know. I'll send some to you. It's not a problem.
yeah, yeah.
It's
Well, maybe I'll
they're
have to
really
look for
cool,
one
man.
now.
I know.
No, because yeah, I'm
It
using
does look good.
I use this little Studio Form thing. You know the
Sure.
Studio Form VR guys. One of them is a Patreon supporter for the show, and he actually sent me one from. Is it New Zealand that they're from? I think it's New Zealand,
Oh,
maybe. But he sent me one, and I'm using it. It's on my Quest right now. I use
sure.
it all the time. It does help. I don't want to get up here and say like everybody run out and buy it because I
Sure.
feel like it is better. Like I like it more with that on, but I can't say like it solves the problem completely because
Well,
it
and that's a
doesn't
lot
really.
cheaper and easier way to
Yeah,
do it too, just to take some of the weight off, to transfer it.
yeah,
But yeah, the Frankenquest is pretty cool. I can't lie, it's nice. But yeah,
yeah. No, I
it's
think I
cool.
need to do that. So why don't real quick? We should probably talk just briefly about like the Rift S. So how does that fit into all of this? What do you do with the Rift S? Do you still have it? Are you using it? Is it like going
Man,
to
you're
be
gonna
a
call me
thing
out on
where?
this. Okay. So I don't actually have it anymore.
Oh my God,
I
shockers!
know. So I'm actually a Best Buy Elite member, and I have, very extended return policy on it. Just means I spend too much money there. But what happened was, the index was coming to a point where I was going to be able to order it. So I'm like, I'm at this fine line with, I'm not really picking up the Rift S as much. And my biggest issue at the time was the tracking playing shooters. It was horrible. It was unplayable playing shooters. It was worthless. So I was actually going back to my CV1 to play games. So I'm
Wow.
like, this is kind of, it kind of proved to me that, and I kind of liked this before, but I like the outside tracking for stuff like that because you can get so close to your face. And oddly enough, about 3 days after, they
Fixed
came
it,
out with their
or
update. Yeah.
seemingly
So
did. Yeah.
right, exactly, which was too bad. So now it's like, well, do I pick one back up again now to try it? But I don't know.
Do you
It's a
know
hard
for
thing.
sure though? Like, I mean, I know people are saying it really did fix it, but do you know anybody that like felt exactly the way you did before, and they feel like it is really actually legitimately fixed?
Nobody I've talked to. No,
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard from people, stuff through Reddit and on our Discord and everything. I mean, you hear, stuff, but I don't know. And not enough that I trust it. I feel like, if you have a place that's a designated VR area, I don't know. I like outside tracking. I really do. I don't know. It's hard for me to get past that. I
What
feel like
about
you're
like,
never going to
but
be
when
as
you first
accurate.
got the Rift S and you got this minor resolution bump, you got the LCD clarity and all of that,
Sure,
and
sure.
and like better, probably better glare than we got on the Valve Index. It's probably better
Sure.
in that area.
Absolutely. Yep.
Did you feel bad about giving all that up at all? I mean, you got a
No,
CV1
not
though.
really.
You still have a CV1?
I do. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So
So
CV1.
worst
Yeah,
case
I
scenario.
actually don't ever get rid of anything. That's probably the
Oh, okay.
first thing in history I've ever returned.
Oh.
And that was very hard for me to do. And I was at that 1 day window where I have to make a decision. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going for the index at this point and go from there. But I'm glad I made the decision because for me, I still have the Quest. I still have a CV1. So I can, if all push came to shove, I couldn't play an Oculus exclusive. I still could because I could go back to a CV1, which is I still
Yeah.
think is a great headset.
And you know
Um,
what I've heard about the CV1? So a buddy of mine, Erwin X, like he got a Rift S and he got a Valve Index first and then like he hated the glare and he just had to get rid of it cuz all he plays
oh
is
yeah, I remember
Skyrim
that.
and glare was
Yep,
really bad
yep.
in that. And so he got rid of his Valve Index for a profit on eBay. Ended up buying a Rift S, and so he's fine with that. But he was looking to sell his CV1, and he's like, man, these things are not worth much of anything. You might as well hold on to it. Because I was thinking the same thing. I
I
was
know.
thinking, well, if this Valve Index, if it works good enough with Revive, where I feel like I really don't need to have another headset floating around, I thought
Sure.
maybe I get rid of my CV1, just get rid of it. But according to, I guess, the resale value is pretty low. So maybe just hold on to it. Maybe just have it as a backup. Because the one thing about the CV1, the original touch controllers, those are great controllers.
They are.
I mean,
They
those are
absolutely are.
awesome
Yep.
controllers.
Yep. They're better than the current touch controllers,
Yeah.
in my opinion. The feel of them, the weight, the balance, everything about them, way better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm too bad they didn't just carry those over, actually. I don't feel there was really much of a design change, minus the halo for tracking, which, I know they had to do. But yeah, it's too bad because I love the old ones. They're so good. Yeah, it's hard to get away from those.
Well, I
I
guess,
really like those ergonomics better than the index controllers, truthfully.
yeah. Well, speaking of the index controllers, like we didn't actually cover that aspect of it, just from the standpoint that when you have those controllers on your hand, it's a different kind of a thing. And I've noticed that I've been in certain games and it's like, I don't really like the way this is set up. But then I've
Yeah.
been in other games where it's like, oh, this is perfect and it feels great. Space, dude. Have you tried Space Pirate Trainer at 144 hertz? Because oh my
No.
goodness, that is
Really? Does it
religious.
run at 144?
On my 1080 Ti, it does. It
Sure,
actually
sure.
does. That's like
Yeah.
the only
Huh.
one that does though. Like Beat
Interesting.
Saber. I think what I need to do with Beat Saber, I
Huh.
actually heard this on F Reality, is that you gotta, because in Beat Saber, I think it automatically puts a super sampling at like
Oh,
1.5 automatically
sure.
in the game, and you gotta dial that back if you're gonna do 144. Because I
Yeah,
tried
yeah.
144 on a Beat Saber, and it was kind of weird.
Yeah, luckily I've got a pretty stout graphics card, so I don't have a fear of it. I just want like my first experiences to be a solid experience for me to be able to reflect. Like I
Yeah.
don't want to push everything to 144 out of the box and then be frustrated with it and it doesn't run right and change all the settings and I'm trying to run it as it is out of the box at 120 and see how I like it. I mean, I just after
But
that I
if
can
you
play
have
that all day,
Space Pirate Trainer, try it,
Try it
please.
in that. Yeah.
Dude, try it, because oh my God. I mean, because that's
Really.
the only one. That's the one that everybody will tell you. If you
Sure.
ever
All the
ask
bright
anybody,
colors and stuff flying at you and everything. Yeah.
it's just because the game is butter smooth. It
That's
just
cool.
runs perfectly. So it's
Sure.
like when you're shooting, dude, it feels like a different level of reality. Did you see that original tested video where Norman Chan and they were talking about the Valve Index that very first time? This is before,
I'm
like,
sure.
none of us had a Valve Index. We didn't know anybody with a Valve Index. We were still waiting for it. And Tested had they had hands-on with it. And Norman Chan was saying 144 hertz. He was talking about it, and he was saying like it's like you feel like you're more there, like you drank a whole bunch of coffee and you're just like really caffeinated, and you're like there. And
notice everything going on like you didn't before.
Well, Space Pirate Trainer, like it really truly is what he's talking about there. And it really, dude, if every game was like that, that's VR 2.0 straight up. If every game played like that, but that's the only one I can find that does that.
Yeah, that's crazy. What about so I wanted to ask you this, which I know somebody asked. I'm running an RTX 2080 in the chat, by the way, but the game where I tried to think of it on our show and I couldn't. You talk about it. You said you love it. It's like a hoverboard. I can't think of the name again.
Jet Island.
Jet Island. Yes. Have you run that at 144?
No, I haven't tried it, but dude, I will tell you this: it is drop dead gorgeous on the Valve Index, because the Valve Index has a lot of extra vertical FOV. Like it's more vertical, I think. Really, like I think where you're
when you
getting,
have more up and downs, you probably notice that a lot more, I bet.
I think you get, it's considerably extra vertical, and there's something about, and Jet Island is a vertical game, man, because you're going up the sides of mountains and stuff. And so there's a handful of games that they just sing on the Valve. And then also, well, part of the reason I think I liked it so much too is it's such a bright, vivid game that I see no glare anywhere because it's just too bright for it, you know.
That's crazy. The one I want to see in it is, and I will here in the next couple of days, is Aerobots. The colors in that look, I think that's really going to pop. I'm excited.
Aerobots VR looks beautiful. Let me grab that trailer real quick.
Yep.
This one,
I think the colors are just going to be killer in the Index. I really do.
Yeah, but when is this game coming out? Because I thought it was fourth quarter. You're saying it's coming soon or something?
There's some releases coming out, some builds they're working on. But yeah, it looks really good.
Northwoods Interactive or whatever? Aerobots.
I'm trying to think of the developer's name.
Yeah, I think it's Northwoods Interactive.
Yeah, it could be.
But let me see if I can find it. I know I have the trailer here. Yeah. Dude, this game came out of nowhere.
I know, right? It did too.
Just looking at it, because like I had never heard about it, and what I do sometimes is I just go on to Steam and I look at like upcoming games, and then every once in a while you'll see a game that just pops up out of the blue that you've never saw before.
I know, with a close release date and everything. I mean, that's crazy. I mean, it's not that far off for just finding out about it, really. So and it looks polished already, which is awesome. I mean, I'm sure they're working on it still, but yeah, it looks fun, and the colors will be good. Kind of color-wise, the other one too that reminds me of colors is Population 1. Yeah, those colors in that are going to be incredible.
Look at really like the forest level.
I know the trees. One. That's what I kept saying too. Man. The trees look great.
The forest,
the fire and everything. Oh, that's awesome.
And look at, and variety. Like you're seeing the different level. Like the maps are very different. It kind of looks a little Space Junkies-ish and a little bit. Sure. It kind of reminds me of Rigs on PlayStation VR a little bit, just in terms of like you're going anywhere kind of a thing, and hover pack type stuff. But I mean, these interiors. Now, see, for me though, like you're a multiplayer guy, so this is right up your alley. I'm not a big multiplayer guy, so I hope that, like, look, outer space and everything. I mean, they're like this.
I think this has more of an arcade feel. It looks like to me. It's a lot more run and gun, real quick, get in, shoot a bunch of stuff off, you die, you start again. You know,
well,
it's
Space
not like
Junkies is pretty.
Stuff.
Space Junkies is pretty arcadey. Did you ever try that?
Yep. Yeah, we did. Yeah, it is. Yeah, I didn't find I liked that though as much. I don't know. Toward this, I think visually I like the look of this and everything a lot better.
You know, the one thing I wonder though about a game like this is like, is this just beautiful editing and production? Because sometimes with trailers, you never know, man.
I know. You're right.
Because
this does look like gameplay. It does, but I mean, you just don't know. I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was one game lately that came out.
Well, Rogan, the Thief in the Castle. Yeah.
Right. Oh,
I mean, it's still beautiful.
Sure. Right. It's crazy though. Yeah, it does look good though. Population 1 though, I'm excited for too. I mean, the backing that they have in that is just incredible. I mean, it's gonna be the go-to game, I think, when it comes out. I mean, it's gonna be your VR Fortnite. I mean, in a nutshell. I mean,
Were you
it's
surprised? Like, so I was mentioning the lab, right, and a real
sure.
Valve game, and
Yep.
that's another thing about that too is the controllers. Like, everything is perfect in the lab
Yep.
because that is Valve. Are you a little disappointed? I mean, that we didn't get something like we're still
I
waiting.
mean,
Uh, you know,
it's hard. I mean, I dream of Portal. I mean, I really do. I could live and breathe Portal. I wish they would have released something like that. And I know they keep saying that they might be working on stuff, but yeah, I wish there was something big. I thought maybe Boneworks was going to release in conjunction with it. I mean,
or I
maybe
thought like Cloudhead Games, I thought maybe they were going to have a secret game, or like that Vertigo 2. I thought maybe it was like almost done.
sure,
But
sure.
yeah,
The other one I hope too was maybe like Downpour, who has is it Onward, right? Isn't that
yeah.
Downpour? Yeah. They because he actually was working out of their studios and stuff. That happened a long time ago now. So I thought, okay, he's in with them, and I don't know if he is or isn't currently. But I'm like, man, it'd be a good team if maybe he's been working on something that we don't even know about, because Onward's been out for a long time now. But I know I was hoping somebody would come out of thin air with something, but didn't happen.
What about like No Man's Sky? Because that's got to be coming in
Yeah,
the not too distant future. Is that something? Okay, No Man's Sky, and then also Borderlands 2. Would
sure.
either of those games get you going? Because Borderlands
I'm
2 could arrive any day now.
I'm super excited for No Man's Sky. I actually already have it. Haven't played it, haven't touched it, but I'm really excited for that because I love like Elite Dangerous stuff like that. So that falls right into all that, and I feel like it's a lot like that, but way better colors, a lot more interaction. I don't know, really fits me. Borderlands, I don't have any experience with it, so I don't really, I've never played any of them, so I don't. I will absolutely, I'm sure, play it.
Yeah, and it's
I
probably
just
not going to have multiplayer, so that's going to kind of
right.
suck. It's probably not
That's
going to have
what,
co-op.
those games I pick up if I have like a Saturday night, maybe I'm home alone or something and I want to play something for a couple hours and space out, like Fallout 4. Love
Yeah.
that game. Played that, couldn't stop playing it. So it takes a really good game like that to draw me in for first play for yeah, non-co-op. But
You
I
know
don't.
what sucks
I mean,
about
it's hard.
Borderlands? So PlayStation VR, I played that on PlayStation VR, right? Like I have it on
Sure.
PlayStation VR, and I played it a little bit when it first came out, and then I kind of forgot about it, and then they added the support for the aim controller, and so then I
Oh,
played it again with the aim controller, and it felt so good. And let me grab my aim controller.
huh. That's pretty cool. Yeah, it'd probably make, I'm sure it would make somebody excited. I mean, yeah, it would make you excited then to try it with VR controllers, once that works good.
But don't we need something like this for PC VR? Like, how awesome would it be if, like, Oculus or Valve or somebody?
Well,
Because, like,
right.
this thing is, I believe, $59.99. Like, if you bought it by itself, and then I think it's like $79.99 if you buy it with like a Firewall Zero Hour or like
Sure.
Farpoint or something like that. So it's like $80 or $60. But it actually. Have you ever tried one of these? Like anybody that
Nope.
has one?
Never have.
Because if you ever tried Farpoint with this,
I
you
would
would be
love to,
like,
yeah.
damn, Sony's doing some shit.
Sure.
you'd be like, this is not bad. This is not slumming it. Like you're not slumming it. But like,
I
how
know.
cool would it be if like Oculus had like a very specific gun that was like $99.99, so it would be a little bit more high end, maybe a little bit better like rumble stuff going on.
Well, see, we run actually gun stocks
Yeah,
all the
yeah.
time. We're huge fans of them. They're a lot of fun. Yeah, so I mean,
But the
it
thing
gives you the
about
same feeling, I guess, but you still know it's something else there.
Yeah, the thing about a gun stock is like you're not getting any extra rumble, are you? Well, I know they have that one that like kicks into your shoulder and stuff,
Right.
but
Yeah, yeah.
you don't have
The
that one,
pack
do
for
you?
the Pro Tube. No, no, don't have that one. I've actually talked about something. I had some really great ideas for something like that. I'm not going to spill all of it, but something in the lines of that you're right. It is missing that. But yeah, it's gun stocks are a lot of fun, and you can pick some of them up really cheap. You don't have to spend the big bucks on like a Pro Tube or a Mammoth Apto or anything like that, and you can get them, and they're really great. I don't know. Some people don't like them. Some people think it's, cheating or, but I mean, that's anything. I mean, every controller's different. Every headset's different. Cheating could be using an index headset because I have better clarity than somebody on a CV1, so it's hard to justify all that.
Yeah, that's funny. If you or like Pimax, you got way more FOV and you're shooting other people outside of that. Yeah. Have you ever tried a Pimax?
I haven't, and I really do want one. I do play a lot of like racing sims as well, and I really want it just for that, just to try it, but I haven't yet. No.
Speaking of the racing sims, there's a really good deal at Walmart, I think, right now. It's like $150 for one of those racing wheels. It's like for the Xbox and PC. I forget which one it is. And then it's also going to be one of these things where, it's like, will it be in your area or not? Will you be able to order it or not? But it was like 150 something bucks. I thought about it for a second, but I just don't really play those games very much. So I was
it's hard. I mean, I don't play it full time, so I didn't go, high end with the Fanatec and all the, fancy wheels, which I would have loved to. Don't get me wrong. But I have to be smart about, I can only have so many things. So I just wanted to.
Well, yeah, your wife is probably like, how many of these headsets do you really need to buy?
Yeah, every time one shows up, she's always like, what's that? I thought you just got rid of one. Why is there another one showing up? And I'm like, it's the next one, But yeah. Yep, no, she's great about it. She puts up with all my stuff. I have lots of hobbies and stuff, so it's a problem.
I had this one friend where, now this is way before VR ever even came on the scene. This is like flat days, like maybe 8 or 9 years ago, right? And he had some freaking crazy racing setup where it was like like the full thing, man, where it's like you're basically getting in a goddamn car. And I wonder what that guy is doing right now. Like, does he have VR integrated into it? Because it's kind of crazy how we're in this situation, right, where pretty soon we're going to have self-driving cars and people aren't even going to drive anymore. Like, if you were to have a baby right now, is that baby ever going to learn how to drive?
Oh, sure, right. Yeah, that's the hard thing. See, I'm bad because I like all the old stuff as well.
Yeah.
Like, I love, like, my office is all old stuff, but then I have all, like, the brand new tech. So I think you have to know where you came from type thing, so I like all of it. But yeah, I don't think, in 10, 15 years, it's going to be even a thing. Actually, now people don't even care if they get their driver's license when they turn 16, which is crazy to me, So
it is
weird.
It's
just a sign of the times. We should actually ask Steve from Conquer Reality. He's got a autopilot on his Model 3. And we should see if he can use his VR headset, maybe, if he's got a laptop while it's driving him. I mean, that's the ultimate future, right? I mean, we could be sitting in a car playing VR, not even in where we're at, But yeah,
well, wasn't there some company that's doing that with like Vovos or something? They're like driving around a track real time and they're like analyzing it. It's kind of crazy.
It's scary. Would be.
Yeah, well, they're doing it on private tracks and stuff.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
But the thing I was going to say about this, though, is imagine, because with VR, if you had the right equipment for the G-forces and stuff, and you had the right wheel, and you have elite motion where you can see your hands, and somehow, like, the wheel is actually tracked, and your stick shift is tracked, like, couldn't we get to the point where it would virtually be indistinguishable from reality, like, say,
honestly,
10 years from now?
It's already there. Like, when I play racing sims, I mean, when you're actually on the track, your hand never leaves the wheel, only to shift. That's it. So in the game, it's the same way. And then if you're using paddle shifters, they don't leave it anyways. So in like some of the GT3 cars and stuff, they have paddle shifters. So you're never actually reaching down to shift. And when you do, it's almost timed up perfectly because, RPMs and the guy halfway goes down to grab it to shift. So it's so lined up. And the wheel, you'd swear it was tracked because it turns when you turn. And you see it turn in the game. So I don't know. If you have a wheel, you would understand. It's crazy. And the wheel fights back, so you're actually even getting a full another level of immersion in that game that we don't get with just controllers.
Which wheel do you have, though? Because, like, the actual force feedback, like there's a lot of levels to that. Like, there's ones that are way better than others.
Sure, like the Fanatec's are good. I mean, they're the probably the best. But you want to stay with probably like a direct drive, which is how the motor drives the wheel and stuff for force and everything. You feel more. But I have let's see, mine's I think it's a Logitech G920, I think is what it is. I'd have to look, but it's great. I just wanted something that was strong wheel and had a clutch pedal. Those were my only, stipulations that I wanted. And I got a shifter and, all that stuff too, but you actually buy that stuff separate typically. So the shifter, but you do get the pedals and the wheel assembly, and I highly recommend it without going high end. I think I paid $279 for it or something like that. Had to add the shifter, I think too, but I think the shifter was like another $60. But honestly, it's a premium steering wheel for a cheap price, because when you go to like the Fanatec's, they are crazy expensive. I mean, you want to buy a basic like Formula with the wheel, I think you're starting at like $1,000 for it.
See,
so it's like
the
crazy.
thing about this whole thing, man, is I can't even go near it, because you know what?
I know
I'll keep wanting more, and then it'll be like, it won't satisfy me until I have the D-Box chair. Okay, the $10,000. Like, could you imagine though, if you really did have like a D-Box, like some kind of $10,000 freaking zzz, then you could do like actual roller coaster sims. That would be perfect, man. It would be like you're really on a roller coaster almost. Like,
I've looked into building them and stuff. You can buy these giant yokes, these factory yokes, and you mount them to a plate on the bottom, then mount them to a seat on the bottom, and then a couple hydraulics to them, and a controller, and you're good to go. So I've debated it a couple times, but not there yet.
That's off the deep end, yeah.
I know it is. It's hard with VR, man. You feel and experience all these new things, and you just want to go, in farther. So it's tough.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Let's. I know you got to get to bed soon, real quick. But right before we get you off of here, I just wanted to get your take before we bounce out of here. Let me go back to. Let's go back to the webinar and this story that was on CNBC. I'm just kind of curious what you think about this story. So basically, Oculus. Oculus originally had like 6 co-founders. Okay, it was like Palmer Luckey, a bunch of different dudes. And Jack McCauley, this guy right here, apparently was one of the 6 original Oculus co-founders. But he's also one of its bigger bears, figuratively and literally. No, he's a big dude, though. I mean, it looks like he's a pretty big dude. But basically what it's saying is that he says, if we were gonna sell, we would have sold. I think he's basically saying, like, if VR was ever gonna really sell, it would have sold already, is I guess what he's saying there. And then ultimately, like later on in this story, he says, video games have not evolved into a 3D experience for a number of reasons. I don't know what kind of application it would be for VR that would keep players plugged in for 6 hours like they do with game consoles. Now that's actually a decent criticism right there, because when you think of some of your console buddies that they just don't have interest in VR because they're Fortnite people, they're Minecraft people, or whatever it is, where they want to be in front of a screen and they're going to be there for like 7 hours. It's an all-day event for them. Doing that in a VR headset, that is a big ask right now.
So my whole theory with it's not VR that isn't there. It's the games and experiences that are developed. Because when you look at these games that are on consoles that keep people in and draw them in for 6 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours, these games are designed to keep you there every second of every day. They're made to keep you there. They draw you in. They have full departments that strategize to keep you in there. So it's different when you have a huge development studio over, 2 or 3 guys developing a game. So it's a very hard comparison with that.
I hear where you're going with that, but my argument would be, even if we had what you're talking about in VR, one of the problems that we have in VR right now, and I think this is a problem that will eventually be solved, but it might be like 15 years away, and that's kind of an issue, is that I feel like what if we had the most incredible Fallout 4 of all time, or Grand Theft Auto 5, or whatever the hell it is, like just the most amazeballs experience ever. there would still be a limit to how long I could have a big contraption on my head. I mean, for me personally, there would be a limit. Like, my eyes can only deal with this for so long. I know there's like diehard Ironmen out there that play Skyrim for 5 hours straight,
Sure,
and I don't
yeah.
know how they do it, but what
Oh
do you
yeah,
think
yeah.
about
We
that?
play games for 5, 6 hours straight. I mean, I
You
don't have an
have?
issue with it. Oh, absolutely, we have. Oh yeah,
Okay,
that
so
was my
you are an
worry.
Iron Man.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's a problem. I mean, we could probably go 10, 12 hours if we didn't have lives outside of this.
Wow.
So
Doesn't
yeah, I
it
don't
wear
have.
on your eyeballs and like the overall weight of it and all that? Like, I feel like whatever grams it is at right now, like the
Sure.
grams need to be chopped in half.
I get it, and that I get. Then that's why the CV1 I think is still great because when you put that on compared to like an index, I mean it's night and day different in weight. Given I think the balance is better, but that's off topic. But the yeah, I don't have a problem keeping it on. I really don't, and I think the more you do it, the less it is that you notice it. I really do. But yeah, it's
Jarillo in chat says, I've been in Fallout 4 VR for 7 hours on a Saturday before.
yep.
No
So have I.
issues. Go see a doctor, Anthony. No, dude, not go see a doctor. And Pseudo Soul is saying, point a fan at your face. I got a fan on my face right now, actually. But no, here's the thing about it, man. It's like playing a retro game in VR. I've made this point a million times. Like, they have these little things where you're like in a 1990s room and you get to play Doom, and it's got, you got your posters on the wall like you're back in the 1990s, and it's really cool. And you get to play
Yep.
retro and you're on an old TV and you're in VR. But it's like, I'm not going to do that until there is no wear and tear of any kind. And I still feel like there's going to be a day when these headsets are so lightweight and they're refreshing at 500 hertz, and you can play for 10 hours and you're not going to have your, because I feel like if I play for 2 hours, I still feel like when I'm done, it's like, oh, back to reality. It's kind of
Sure.
like, oh, I'm coming out of a dark cave.
I think I felt that way at first with VR, but now I wouldn't even think that. I mean, I remember the first days of playing it, I would come out and, I'd have, we used to call it Oculus face, where you'd have a ring around your face, and I've been in
Jeff
there for
Gerstmann
hours.
face.
There you go. Yeah. And yeah, it was tough then, but now after all the hours and stuff, I mean, it's like, if you boat sick, you ride it enough, it's probably going to go away. That's kind of what, like the VR sickness, same thing. First time putting on a VR headset, if it makes you sick. But which, and that'll all go away. The higher fidelity headsets we get, that's all going to disappear. And you're right. I mean, the better all that improves, the longer you can wear it, or the more people will actually use it, not be afraid to or make them sick. So yeah, and that's any technology, it just increases, it just keeps doubling, every single year how far all those advancements go. And yeah, the farther we go, the better it'll be. So yeah.
Okay, one last point he makes, and I promise I'll let you go to sleep. Okay,
I don't need sleep.
okay. One last point he makes is you put it on, and there's a lot of wow to it. But then what do you do with it? Macaulay said. Even when I was there, I thought people weren't going to wear a headset and walk around with it in public. What do you say to that? Like what do you say to this argument that there's just going to be some people that will just never, ever put a VR headset on their head ever? But actually,
Sure.
let me just ask you that question. Do you believe that to be a true statement? That there are
No.
some people that will just never, ever put a VR headset on their head?
I mean, I think it's a true statement because you're always going to have people who are stubborn or afraid of technology. I think that's,
Okay. Well, let me
ultimately.
rephrase it. Do you think there will ever be a point where at least 75% of everybody out there will not you know what I mean? So taking out
Sure.
the oddballs.
Yeah, yeah, just not the people who are passionate
Yeah.
about it. Will the average person adopt it, basically? Yeah, I think it'll happen. I don't think it'll be like everybody has one. I think it'll be more back to people who are into gaming or enterprises that have it. Past that, it's a very, I don't want to call it a lonesome thing because what you're now doing is in the real world, you're now occluding yourself from that. You're expanding inside of VR, but you're blocking off the rest of the world when you have it on. So it's a hard thing because when you're around other people, why would you want one on? If you're by yourself, than you do
What if
because it
everybody
opens
else
that
had
world
one
up.
on too, though? And you were all
Yeah,
in. So, like, I don't know if you watch any sports or anything, but imagine like let's say you're a big. I'm a Seattle Seahawks fan, right? So imagine if I could be on the field, like where I feel like I'm standing like 10 feet away from the quarterback, and my good
sure,
buddy could be right there. And,
sure.
Facebook app, and we're standing, and I'm freaking drinking a beer. He's drinking a beer, and we're just standing there, and we're watching the freaking Seattle Seahawks, and it's freaking happening right, like we
Yep.
literally see it right there. Isn't that just going to take over the world? Like, will people like For me, I think it's going to be so compelling. See, I think there's this certain fall off point where it just looks so photoreal and you're basically in another world at a certain point
Sure.
because it
Yeah.
because it's sight and sound, right? We
Yeah. Oh,
could
yeah.
eventually do sight and sound where those two senses could be flawless. I think within 20 years, I think we can do
Oh, yeah.
sight and sound. And those are two big ass senses, man. Right?
Sure. I think they're already working on that. I mean, the sound, they're already, I know there's 360 cameras and stuff that have full spatial audio tracking built into them. So, I mean, stuff like that is already happening in, recording world and shooting, like you're saying, by a sports event. And
Well, the
I
six
had,
DOF video, like the NFL game, like they need to
sure,
figure that out. And then also
sure.
like the bandwidth of how do they get that to your headset.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's a hard thing because a lot of the 360 VR cameras have 8 lenses that they are stitching together and pushing that information out at super high res. I mean, it's crazy amounts of information. And ultimately, yeah, you're gonna be limited by bandwidth and stuff at some point. And then projecting that to a headset and then watching it live. So it's like there's all these things they have to overcome, and it'll get there. Just
I
time
think it's
will prove that.
inevitable. I think it's
It
absolutely
is.
inevitable. And I
There
think
was.
photorealism
Oh
is
sure.
absolutely inevitable. Like, I don't know if
Yep.
you've ever tried any of these like YouTube 180 videos. Okay, some of them are maybe not safe for work or whatever, right? But there's like somebody standing 5 feet away from you, and they're almost at a point now where it's like, this is damn near reality. We only need to improve the resolution a little bit more, and we're damn near there.
Yep.
It's like the downfall. I did a story the other day on one of these episodes. I forget which one it was, like just 2 days ago, I think it was, where this guy had a video on YouTube, and it's called Humanity's Next Addiction VR. And it's like really, it kind of goes really dark and really negative. And it's like,
Sure.
in the year 2158, humanity just basically, the guy goes through the whole thing. It's actually
Right.
pretty good. It's worth checking out.
I always picture the from what's Wally, the movie Wally, when they're
Yeah.
on the spaceship and everyone's being rolled around in like a little lazy boys, and they all have these
Yeah.
like face masks on. They're all doing their own thing in VR or whatever they're doing. I figure that's where we'll probably be by then. But no,
Yeah.
we actually shot a couple VR videos that we have on our channel. That are 180 VR videos.
Oh.
Sean actually snuck one on a roller coaster at Busch Gardens, which was really cool. But yeah, the res on it is just crazy nowadays. What you can get in like a almost consumer camera, it's pretty cool. It really is.
What do you think is holding? What do you think is the biggest bottleneck right now for that video? Is it the headsets
So,
themselves, or is it the
um,
download size? I mean, the file size. Like,
yeah, it's a lot of it. It's basically the lenses. So to have the quality of lenses needed for that high res, you have to have such high res. I forget, I think his is shooting at 8K or something like that, and it's still, you know what I mean? It needs to be probably 24K or something, by the time it would be natural and look good inside VR. But yeah, it's close. I've been shooting 360 stuff for a long time, and it's come worlds from that already. And now with the dual lenses for VR and everything, it's really making leaps and bounds. But yeah, it's my biggest thing I hate with all of it is the label that everybody put on all these 360 videos. So everyone posts these 360 videos and pictures and say that they're VR. And
yeah,
I feel like that has put the biggest handicap on the VR market, period. Because everyone puts these 360 pictures on Facebook and says it's a VR picture or whatever. They don't know the terms of between 360 and VR. And I feel like everyone correlates those 360 pictures with what VR is now. And I feel like there needs to be some division or statement or commercial or something that just blows that out of the water. But yeah, I don't know. I've just seen that trend happen over time. And I feel like everyone I talk to goes, "Oh, you mean like a 360 picture?" And you just look around and I'm like, "Oh no." Like you hold something out in front of you and it's there, you know?
So isn't 180 though way better or not?
Well, no, I mean, there's no, so between 180 and 360, 180 is just shooting half of
So I
a
know,
full
but don't you get
360,
way
right?
better resolution because of that?
It just depends on what camera you have
Okay.
ultimately. Um, to be able to afford one that has, an you need 8 cameras essentially. You wouldn't have, yeah, you do. But you need 8 cameras for a full 360 VR experience. So for a 180, you actually only need two. So it's a big, you're paying for 4 times the amount of cameras and everything. So it gets crazy. And then all the stitching involved in it and post
Well,
processing.
because, like, I mean, if you go to YouTube and you look at 360 videos and then
Yep.
you look at the 180 videos, like some of the 180 videos look almost real, where the
Yep.
360 videos look kind of crappy. And you think, do we really need all of this? Like, am I really looking back over there? Not really. If I have 180, I think that's fine.
Sure. And you have to actually direct people. Once you have a 360 video, you actually have to direct where you want people to look when they're watching it. Because all of a sudden you could turn around and be watching something behind and it's happening in front of you. So that's a hard thing too. So you have to worry about all that. But yeah, it's the reason 180s look better is because people can afford better cameras because they only need 2 lenses. So, if you had all those same lenses and you had 4 of them all stitched together, it would look the same, but in 360
What
basically.
about the file size, though? Like, isn't that a big part of it, too?
Yeah, it's huge. That's, I mean, all the post processing and stuff, it's a nightmare. I mean, it's an
So, like,
absolute
when you
nightmare.
upload that to YouTube, how much of the good juice are you losing out of that whole thing? Like, if you watch, like, the videos that you record yourself, like, where if you had the full bandwidth, the full size video before it gets, like, encoded and
Sure.
all of that,
Yeah.
like, does
So you
that look
can
way
make
better?
it does because you can natively inject these videos into like, an Oculus Go, the Oculus Quest and watch them. But the second you upload it and then re-download it or stream it to it, half the quality at best. I mean, it's crazy the difference. So if you inject one natively, sideload it into a headset, it's incredible. It really does look
What
good.
would be the size? Like, let's say you had a 10-minute video. Like, what size would
Sure.
that be?
Oh man, yeah. It's huge. A 10
It's
minute
huge.
video, yeah, I'd have to look some of them up, but yeah, I
Like,
mean,
major gigs?
oh yeah, a couple gigs easy. Yeah, 3, 4, 5, 6 gigs. Yeah, it
But
depends on
not
what
like
resolution
50,
and stuff.
100 gigs or anything like that.
I mean, if you had a 360 of those same
Yeah.
caliber, sure, it would be. I mean, it'd be crazy. So that's the hard, the compression and everything. It's a mess. Yeah, it's
So
hard to
have you
do.
ever recorded anything where you were like, wow, this is perfect. This is almost real life, like of the stuff that you've done yourself? Like, is there anyone that like really stood out to you where it was like, wow, this is amazing?
Not in video particularly. I did one a while back. I was playing Standout in my office one day, and I just thought, you know what? I'm going to stream a 360 video just to see. Shot in, I think it was 5.7K and non VR, just strictly a 360. And it looked really good. But see, on a 360, it's not VR, so you only need 2 lenses. You don't need 8 lens array to shoot it. So it's a whole different beast. It's one that the pros probably should stick to.
Okay,
It's
last
crazy.
question. Last question. I know I'm cheating, but one more. So Intel, there was one January, like the Consumer Electronics Show, right? That's in
Sure. Yep.
Vegas. This is
Yep.
a couple of years ago, I believe. But Intel did a big ass thing about like voxels and like this is the future, where basically like the idea is that they're going to film something and then they're going to break it into individual pixels, like somehow, like basically they're going to be filming things with like crazy numbers of cameras and then somehow real time break it into like what essentially is like video pixels, and then that
Sure.
way this is going to allow you can actually move around because it's like it's being recreated into like a hologram that you're inside of.
Sure. Yeah.
When do you think we're going to see a sample? Like, supposedly this stuff exists somewhere out there. When are we actually going to like see a little snippet of that?
I haven't done anything with video, but I've actually dabbled in the picture realm of that same philosophy that they were talking about there, to where I wanted to recreate my actual office and put it into Steam VR. So my room would actually be in Steam VR. You can actually upload your own rooms into there.
Yeah.
And what you do, you take a cross reference, like you're saying, of a bunch of different angles, cameras. My office, let's call it 1,500 pictures to make one render of one thing. And it takes cross references of points and everything and realigns it back up and puts it into a 360 environment. So I know it's possible in the picture realm, but the stitching time, I mean, is just crazy. I mean, to stitch like one room, or like I did my living room as a test, I think it took 10 hours to stitch that together.
Like the typical photogrammetry that you would see on like
Yeah.
Steam destinations.
Yep, you got it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because
It
yeah,
takes an
sometimes
incredible amount of time.
the cool thing about that, like the one thing where that will revolutionize things, and I know it's already starting to do that, is real estate. Like,
Oh, sure.
I mean, think about that. Like, you're literally, I mean, in the not too distant future, like this is something where wives are going to actually use VR for this. Is like,
Oh, yeah.
you want to stay at a cabin somewhere, and it's like, oh, VR, you can go in and look at the actual
Yep.
cabin. You're looking at the kitchen, and it'll be volumetric, and you're
There's
basically
already a
there.
company
Yeah.
doing that right now. You buy their module, I think it's like 10,000, let's say, set it up in a room, and it does a 3D scan with multiple lenses, move it to the next room, shoots a scan, puts the whole thing together, and you're good to go for real estate. So, oh yeah, it's going there. But yeah, to be at the point of like video, of like reprojecting that, oh, I mean, the amount of information would just,
But it
boggle the
has to
mind.
happen, though. It has to happen
Sure,
because
sure.
that is the killer app, right?
Sure it is. Yeah. Yeah. Think if you could go walk down on the sidelines of a football field, screw sitting in the
Yeah,
stands, you could walk
exactly.
right down on the sidelines by the players if it was that good, I mean,
Sit
that'd
on
be
the bench.
incredible. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Yeah. Start
yeah,
knocking the guy's Gatorade out of his hand.
yeah. That'll be crazy.
Yeah. That
All
would be
right.
crazy.
Well, man, this is a fun conversation. It's too bad it's like crazy late at night. But
Yeah. That's all right.
but yeah, no, I really appreciate having you on here, and I was glad to get you on individually because I mean we had you and Sean, and I'm definitely going to want to have Sean on individually as well, and it's just cool to kind of when you have extra guests, I mean that's fun as well, but it's always nice to do an individual
Oh,
head-to-head
yeah.
one like this. So
Yeah.
I
I'm sure
really
Sean would
appreciate
love
it.
to. He's had a hard time lately getting in his new house and stuff. So he'll be ready to get his office done and get back in here for sure.
Yeah, Project Immersion, man. He's got to check out,
Right?
look at those
I know.
videos. Tribal
It's
Instincts.
crazy.
Just look it up. Tribal Instincts on YouTube, Project Immersion. Because I know he has videos where he's like showing, he got this really nice room and it was really huge and green screens everywhere. Because that's one thing I wanted to do is like green screen my
Yep.
corner here. Because if I ever do a Let's Play, ideally in a Let's Play video, it'd be nice if you're properly green screened, because that just looks
Sure.
the best. Like you got full screen of the game and then you just put yourself in the corner. I think that's the best
Yeah.
way to do it.
The one thing I just found out too, I'll leave you with this little tidbit, is we talked about on our show, is I found out that the Index, actually, you can use the cameras on there instead of a webcam. So they are actually, it must be open. I could actually probably switch to it right now. I can select the Index as an input for video for Skype. So I could probably switch it. So I'm sure people could start recording out of their indexes, showing their hands and stuff first person. Now it is stereoscopic. It shows both lenses at the same time. But I mean, people are going to probably start. I would, if I was trying to do, some recordings and stuff like that of showing hands and everything. But you could probably do some pretty cool things with it. A little different. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I
I was
remember
surprised that it was like that.
way back in the days when I had an old Vive, it had that little camera and I had like I made my Let's Plays where I had three little boxes on the corner
Sure.
and one of them was the headset cam, and so it's like
Yep.
fish-eyed and you just see my
Yep.
hands doing things, and yeah, it was back in the good old days.
It
All
is.
right, man. Well, I'm going to go ahead and bounce out of here because for me, I still got a little bit more time to play some Index before I go to
Yeah,
bed.
it's not fair.
So, yeah. Hey, man, you're 3 hours ahead, so it is what it is. But thanks so much, Tyler. I absolutely appreciate you joining me on this one. Had a lot of fun. It was cool.
Me too, man.
And
Yeah, it was awesome. Appreciate
yeah,
it.
so we'll absolutely have to do it again.
Definitely, man. I'll talk to you later.
Okay, take it easy, man.
Later.
All right. All right. Well, that was Tyler. That was awesome. I really appreciate that. Man, we had a great conversation. I felt like that was just like effortless. Like, well, one of the downsides though, I was not checking out chat at all. I feel bad, man. I was not checking out chat at all, really. I mean, I only looked at a couple of comments in chat. Apologies for that. The reality is like we just had a really good flow with that conversation. So that's the thing is like if you're going to constantly check chat, you're kind of screwing up the conversation you're having. So it's kind of hard. So apologies for that, but hopefully it's good for people watching later. Good conversation. I thought we covered a lot of interesting topics. And so that was really fun. I thought that worked out good. But anyway, that's basically going to go ahead and wrap it up for this episode of VR 365. Of course, tomorrow we will be back on Twitch. And good news, we did get that lost Twitch episode. Simplex, we got the video. It has been saved. So it will be coming to the YouTube in the not too distant future. But I will be over on Twitch tomorrow, 7:30 p.m. So basically Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, it's going to be a nighttime thing. Normally at 7:30 p.m. I actually did this one at 7 for Tyler because he's back east, so a little bit earlier for him. But normally 7:30 p.m. Monday through Wednesday, and then Thursday and Friday usually like 4-ish p.m. right around there. Saturday is around noon. Sunday is around 11:30. That's kind of the way the schedule's working right now. But anyways, I'll see everybody over there on Twitch tomorrow. If you get an opportunity, go ahead and check us out over there. Not sure what I'm going to be talking about. Hopefully we'll have some news stories, some different things to cover. I'm certainly going to play some more Valve Index. I want to do a little bit more lab exploration in the lab. Gotta say, man, my Valve Index starting to feel better and better. Because I'm playing more and more stuff where I'm not really seeing the glare and I'm seeing the clarity. Oh, here's one topic I forgot to mention. Okay, for Valve, this is their tagline for the Valve Index. This should be in their advertisements. Valve Index, clarity is job one. That's the way it should be, man. Clarity is job one. That's the tagline for Valve Index. Clarity is job one, because that is what the Valve Index has going for it. It's just a general sense of clarity. Everything is just a little bit more cleaner and a little bit more refined. Now, the downside is you're going to notice all the downsides as well. Like, I feel like you do notice more screen door because of the clarity. Because of the actual clarity, the screen door becomes more obvious to me. And the glare is still an issue, but dude, Valve Index, clarity is job one, baby. And it's starting to look good. The more games I play, it looks better and better. Yeah, it does feel like it is my daily driver. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. All right, guys, I got to get the hell out of here, but I will see you guys tomorrow on Twitch. We'll see you about 7:30 p.m. Pacific time. Everybody have a wonderful evening or a wonderful early morning or whatever when you're finally seeing this. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Later.